Today I'm doing a fun little get ready with me featuring all drugstore makeup for the mature woman. If you want to see how I created this look, just keep watching. Welcome back. I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything makeup, skincare, and style for the over 50 woman. I'm doing a fun little get ready with me with some products from the drugstore that I've had my eye on for a while. We'll be featuring the Milani Sultry palette. So excited about this eyeshadow palette. And also I've been trying for the first time the L'Oreal Infallible foundation. So we'll see how it goes. Join me and let's get started. I'm really excited for today's Get Ready With Me because we're going to be working with a palette I've been dreaming about for a while. This is the Milani Soft and Sultry, and I know that's kind of shiny and in your face. Let's go ahead and take a look. These colors are delicious. As you know, I've been really longing for some cool tone palettes because we seems like we're in a sea of warm tone palettes these days, and it's hard to find a cool tone palette. You know, you go on a website and it's pages and pages of warm tone, but getting a cool tone is pretty rare these days. So this is a beautiful palette in some cool neutral tones. I'm really excited to work with it today. So let's get started. I've already prepped my face with my serums and my moisturizers and my sunscreen. Put on my primer. I've used the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Primer. You guys know this is like my favorite Holy Grail drugstore primer. I love it. And a little bit of peachy corrector right underneath my eyes. And I use the L'Oreal True Match. You've probably seen this before if you've watched my videos. I like to put it on early before I do my eyes so it has a chance to really settle into my skin. I feel like I just get a little bit better coverage that way. Start with the Milani eyeshadow primer. Might as well stick with the brand while we're using the Milani palette. And I just put a little bit on my finger and spread that out over both eyes. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I've already done my eyebrows before I started filming, and on my lips I have a little bit of the Milani Keep It Full, which just keeps my lips hydrated and maybe gives them a little bit of plumping while I do my makeup. This palette is a first impressions for me. I got it a few weeks ago, but I wanted to save it for a video. I haven't used it at all. This is kind of exciting for me. We'll see. Milani's, as you guys might know, are my favorite drugstore eyeshadow products. I use two of their palettes, two of their neutral palettes, the little smaller ones, every day for my everyday makeup, and I just love both of them. And they're both well loved and well used, and I'm going to repurchase them both when I need to, which is going to be pretty quickly. I'm going to start out with a crease color today, and I'm going to go into this soft color right here in the corner. I don't know if they have names. If they do, I can't read it on the back. The one on the far left is the one I'm going for today. I'm going to start smoothing that gently into the crease on both eyes. I love the way the Milani shadows go on and blend. They're just so very good, which is why I was really excited to get this palette. This is a great crease color. It's soft, it's kind of a soft neutral brown. It probably tones a little bit warm. It's definitely not a taupey, but I think it's really pretty for a crease color. Next, I'm going to go in with my flat brush and I'm going to tap it into this kind of a creamy matte color right here, and I'm going to wash that right over my lids. I always start out with a patting motion where the color payout on that is beautiful. Can you see that? I always start out with a patting motion because my skin on my eyelids is a little bit crepey, and if I start wiping it back and forth, the skin just moves with it and the shadow just doesn't go on very well. Start with a patting motion to get a good base on that. Boy, there's so much color payout in that matte. It's really beautiful. I'm just going to sweep a little bit of that underneath each brow. So far, I'm loving this palette. Of course, we're new in the game, but I might as well jump in with an opinion right away, huh? So it really is morning, as you guys know. I'm having my coffee. Are you guys getting tired of watching me drink coffee? I'm going to take my blending brush now and just start blending those two colors together so that they really transition smoothly from one to the next. The Milani shadows blend really, really well. They just have nailed the formula on these products, and you know, they're pretty affordable. I think that they're probably a little higher price point for drugstore shadows, but in my mind, they're definitely worth it. Next, I'm going to go in with a little bit more detail brush, and I'm going to tap it into this dark color right over here. It looks like a nice taupey brown, almost sort of a coffee brown, but very, very cool tone. And I'm just going to really start defining the outside edge, pulling that from the outside corner on down into like the almost a little bit more than a third of the outer lid, just straight down into that lid. I'm going to go in with my blending brush and start blending that out. I'm not going to move the color around a lot. I'm just going to keep it in that same area. I'm just going to soften up the edges. Just with a real soft brush, not moving it very much, just really blending it into those other tones. And that really just to help define the outside corners of the eye and give a little bit of lift for our, at least my mature eyes. Next, I'm going to go in with my finger right into this shimmer shade right here. It's kind of a champagne-y shimmer. And when I received mine had broken up just a little bit in shipping. But you know, I was so excited about the palette that I just decided to keep it and not return it, just use it as it is. So I'm going to take that and just tap it over the lid with my finger. Such a pretty color. Can you see? Really nice. Has just a little bit of sparkle in it, not over the top. It's still very sophisticated blend. Then I'm going to take my finger and go into, I think I'm going to go into this taupey color right down here. And I'm going to blend that in between the cream color and that dark color, just to give a little color transition. And it's going to add just a little bit of sparkle to that darker tone. Next, I'm going to go in with my flat brush and just dip into that champagne color again and just touch that right under the arch of my eyebrow, just to give a little bit of highlight to that area and kind of a lift to the eye. And to finish up the eyeshadow, I'm going to take an angle brush. This is a very thin angled brush. And I'm going to dip it into this dark tone, the one in the middle and the bottom. Like I said, I could read the names on the back, but I can't see them. And just get a little bit on my brush. And then I'm just going to go ahead and press that along my lash line, just on the outer third. And then I'm going to take that brush and I'm just going to pull a little wing straight up in that corner. Can you see that? Just straight up into that darker tone. And that just gives a little bit of lift to the eyes. I think that's finished up with the eyes for right now. I might go in towards the end and put a little color underneath my lower lashes just to define them a little bit. So I think we'll move on to foundation now. And I'm actually trying a new foundation today. I've been working my way through the top drugstore foundations. Today we're going to be working with the L'Oreal Infallible. I picked this up in the color 420. This is the first impressions for me. I haven't even really used this. I swatched it on the back of my hand and the color looked pretty good. So we'll see how it goes today. This comes in a really nice bottle. It's nice, it feels good in your hand. It has a pump, which I love. They get kudos and points for that one. I'm just gonna put a little bit on the back of my hand. And you know, it came out a little bit watery, a little bit more liquidy than a lot of the foundations. You can see how it's kind of running down my hand a little bit. So we'll give it a try and see how this goes. I'm just going to smooth some on over my skin with my finger. And I always like to make sure that I get the sunspots on the outside edges of my face. The way I like to do my foundation is I go in first with a foundation brush and just start working that in over the skin. It seems to be working in pretty easily. Wow, this is blending in really easily, really nicely. I think that's a good color match. This is the 420. Wow, wow. This is looking really nice. Got a little bit of settling in my nose area, which I get a lot. And once I work it in with my brush, I like to go back in with my sponge and just sort of really give that, it gives it such a nice, soft, sort of satiny finish to any foundation. Boy, I don't know if you can catch that on camera. It's really looking pretty. We'll see how it wears. And in my, in the active areas of my face, those are the parts of your face that move a lot, like underneath your eyes and the marionette lines here. I really try to shear out the foundation there so it doesn't, there's not a lot of product there to collect into the fine lines and wrinkles, or as I like to call them, my nooks and crannies. You guys, this foundation is looking gorgeous. Can you see that on the camera? It blended out beautifully. It's not settling in. Generally, any foundation will settle into these lines right here. It's not settling in. It's really beautiful. It has a very smooth finish. It's done a good job of covering my sunspots on the side. It's not giving me that polka dot settle in your pore things on my nose. Wow. I'll have to say, I'm impressed. This is looking good. Today for concealer, I'm going to use what is just one of my favorite drugstore concealers, and that's the Rimmel Lasting Finish. I love this concealer, and I actually found it kind of by accident. I just bought a bunch of stuff from Rimmel when it was on sale and was so shocked and surprised to find out how really good this concealer was. So I've really been kind of hooked on it ever since. I just put a little bit on the back of my hand, and actually that's probably way too much. And then I just tap it in under my eyes with my finger, and I like to use my finger first because there's something about the warmth of the skin in my finger that seemed to really help it blend in well. My experience with this concealer when I use it with the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Primer is that it just doesn't move for the day. It's just once you set it, it's like set it and forget it. It really does stay put, which I love. Once I have that tapped in with my finger, I like to go back in with a beauty sponge, really give it a nice little finish. It seems to just add such a beautiful sheen to that under eye concealer. So I just tap it in really gently. And it really, a beauty sponge seems to really blend it out really well. Such a quick step, but boy, it makes such a difference. I like to set my concealers because if I don't, it just doesn't look as good. So I've been using the e.l.f. HD powder. I recently got the loose powder in this, but I haven't cracked it out yet. It's still in my new bucket. So we'll just go in with this today. And I just get a little bit on an angle brush, tap it off, and then I just press it underneath that eye area. And then I finish up a little bit in the more movable areas of my face just to set the foundation a little bit. And then I'll go back in again with my blending sponge and just press that powder into that concealer really lightly. Don't need much pressure at all. I just want to get that set into that area. While it may look a little bit chalky in the beginning, I find that once it's settled into my face and the warmth of my face has really worked with the products, it ends up looking really, really pretty. You guys are probably wondering why I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt in the middle of summer. Well, I live at the ocean. I live in Northern California, right on the ocean, like literally right on the ocean, and it's cold up here. Because we get the fog and stuff, it's cooler here on the coast. So while you guys are maybe having really hot weather, we're having kind of a cool snap right now. For bronzer today, I'm going to be working with a new product. It's fairly new. I've used it a couple of times and I've used it in a couple of videos. It's the Revolution Ultra Bronze. Have you guys seen this? I actually got this online. I'm not sure if I got it from Ulta or from Walmart. I'm not sure. But it's really a beautiful bronzer. I'm loving it. It's a very nice powder, a sort of a cool tone brown, but not so cool that you look muddy. It's really beautiful. This was actually the bronzer I used when I did the how to use bronzer video. So I'm just going to take a little bit on a big fluffy brush, tap it off, and then I always like to start on the outside edges of my face right up into the hairline. That way if I have too much product on my brush, it ends up in my hairline and not in the middle of my face. So I just start blending that out around the edges of my face and then down into the hollows of my cheeks. This has really such a great color. If you're fair skin tone like I am, you might want to give this a try. I'll make sure that I link the exact color down below. It just seems to really do a good job of just adding a little bit of nice glow without looking too orangey or too muddy. Just a great tone. And then I always like to cut around my chin and down my neck to kind of give a little bit more definition to my chin line, which is getting a little softer as I get older. For blush, I'm going to be using just a lovely new product. It's not new to the market, but it's new to me. I've owned a lot of the Milani blushes before, but I haven't had this particular one. This is the Luminoso. This is one of their baked, I believe it's one of their baked blushes, and everyone says this is a dupe for the NARS Orgasm blush. I really love it. It's such a pretty color and has just a little bit of sheen to it. So I put a little bit on my brush and just start gently working that into the outside and top part of my cheek area. I always like to make sure that I don't bring it in any further than the middle of my eye so that I get that kind of facelift-like look with my blush. This is such a pretty peachy pink color. It has just a little bit of shimmer. Can you see that? Goes on really well. So now that I've got that on, I go back in with my big fluffy brush, the one I did my bronzers with, and I just kind of blend them in together so that there's really kind of a seamless color transition from the bronzer to the blush. For highlighter today, I'm going to use one that you guys, if you've seen my videos, you know how much I love this. This is a Wet n Wild. I think it's called Golden Crown. This is such a pretty highlighter. I just love it, and I've been using it a ton, and I don't know if I'm ever going to hit pat on this. Put it on just a little tapered brush, just a little bit, and then I just very lightly hit the top of my cheeks, and then up over my eye just a little bit, and then just a little bit on the front of my cheeks. I try not to get any color on the front, but a little bit of sparkle is always kind of fun. So just hitting the top of my cheeks, a little bit above my eye. Then I go back in with that same blending brush and just blend that all together. So it's just really a smooth transition. Now that we have the foundation, bronzer, blush, that whole thing all done, I'm gonna go back in and finish up the eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and tight line with the Ulta Gel pencil. I really like these. I've curled my lashes, and then I just actually take this pencil and run it right underneath that lash line, up into the base of those lashes as close as I can get it. If you haven't done this before, I know it looks a little scary. Once you've done it a few times, it ends up being very, very easy. I think before I do my mascara, I'm gonna go in and do just a little bit of color on lower lash line. I'm gonna take just a tiny little pencil brush and dip it into the soft brown here and just run a little bit along the lower lash line, just on the outer third, and then tie it into that color at the top. It adds just a little bit of definition to that lower lash line. I don't really wear mascara on my lower lashes anymore. It just seems to drag my face down, but I don't mind putting in just a little bit of color there. For mascara, I'm going to be using the Essence Lash Princess. So I start by just hitting the base of the lashes and wiggling up. This stuff is just amazing, and it's only $5. Look at this, is just one little coat. Isn't that amazing? Love it. I have on 2 coats of that Essence Lash Paradise. Isn't that just, it's just the best mascara. I just love it. I hope that you guys try it, because I think you'll be blown away at how good it is. Just about done now. I'm loving the eyeshadow. It's such a nice, pretty look. I'm gonna do lips now and go ahead and take this off. I love having a little bit of moisture on my lips when I do my makeup, don't you? Just makes everything so much nicer. For lips, I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Superstay Liquid Lipstick, and this is in the color 125 Inspirer. This is such a pretty rosy tone. These have such a nice little applicator. You can really get a clean line. I'm really liking that color. Such a pretty pink, kind of a rosy, medium rose pink. So I'm going to let that dry down just for a second, then I'm going to top it with a little bit of gloss to give it some more definition to my lips. So now I'm going to go in with the Milani Keep It Full, and this is in the color Luminoso, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the center of my lip, right there, top and bottom, and then just tap that out. And that just adds a little bit more definition and sort of a little plumpness to your lips. Well, let's take a look at how things are looking. That foundation is just glorious. I know that you can't see it as clearly on camera. It's absolutely beautiful. It's so smooth, nothing settling in my pores. It really is glorious. I'm gonna go ahead and set today with the NYX Matte Finish Spray. I've been using this a little bit and I really quite like it, so we'll just top everything off with this. I want to thank you for joining me for this fun Get Ready with me. I am loving these new products I tried. I think this Sultry palette is just a classic, and it's something that I'm going to just really enjoy working with. Beautiful shadows, beautiful formulations. I think they look great on the eyes, easy to work with. Just can't say enough good things about this. And as far as the L'Oreal Infallible Foundation, I'm really surprised. This looks so good. I know it's difficult for you guys to see on camera, but in my mirror, and this is like I think a 5X or 10X mirror, it looks really, really good. I've been working my way through all the popular drugstore foundations, And I think that this one is really leading the pack right now as far as blendability, the way it looks on the skin. It's just, I'm really loving it. Thank you again for your time today. It just tickles me when you take a few minutes out of your day to spend it with me. If you're not subscribed and you'd like to be, just go ahead and click that red button down below. And if you'd like to be notified when I have a new video up, click the notification bell. Thank you again for your time today. I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50. Make it a great day, a great week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.